protecting yourself from scams. I'm Lisa Allegas, and this is Newsmakers. In this edition, a visit from the Better Business Bureau with warnings about the riskiest scams, who's being targeted, and how you can protect yourself. Plus, what to do if you've already fallen prey to scammers. Joining us to share lots of important tips is Pamela Hernandez, the Regional Director of the Better Business Bureau in Missouri. Pamela, thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
So we appreciate you visiting the area. I know you're located in Springfield. Scammers are smart. They're everywhere. And it is scary how easy it can be for people to get tricked and to lose lots of money. Now, the BBB has a top 10 list of the riskiest scams. So let's go through them and talk about the scam trends. Number one involves cryptocurrency. So Pamela, tell us, why is this a popular scam?
Well, it's the latest and greatest thing in scams that are as old as the hills. We've all heard about Ponzi schemes, pyramid schemes. It's those types of things, but with cryptocurrency. And a lot of people know just enough to know that there's a lot of activity, that perhaps there is some money to be made. You amplify that with social media influencers. It makes it so easy for people to get involved in a cryptocurrency investment scam.
Are there legitimate cryptocurrency companies? I mean, what are the do's and don'ts about when it comes to investing money? Because everybody wants to make money fast, but are there safer ways to do it?
Of course, and there are plenty of legitimate cryptocurrency companies. You have to do your research. Anytime you're investing in anything, you want to make sure that the person, the company is trusted and vetted. Consumers can go to bbb.org to look at a company's BBB business profile. You want to research who that financial investor is, whether it's cryptocurrency or not. If you meet somebody, maybe over a lunch or online with these promises of great guaranteed returns with very little risk, huge red flag. So stop and do your research.
How much on average do people lose when there is such a kind of a savings or an investment scam? I mean, can it be a life savings?
Oh, it absolutely can be. It can be thousands of dollars. It can happen to anyone. I was just talking to a gentleman yesterday telling me about finding what he thought was a reputable cryptocurrency company and getting involved in a ransom for his wallet. They managed to get control of his crypto wallet, and we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars that he lost.
Wow, that's scary. So let's go back to that list. The next scam is employment scams, which is second. Now, why is it the information they ask you to give when applying for a job, or what is the employment scam of the day?
Oh, there's so many options. I think first, the world of work turned upside down in 2020. And things went virtual, and that created a lot of confusion. What's normal for a job interview? So particularly for someone entering the workforce, trying to get that first job, not knowing that it's not normal to have a job interview via text message, to get that automatic offer, not understanding what a normal salary is for an entry-level position, can really lend itself to people turning over information like a bank account, social security number, anything that could lose their identity, all in pursuit of a great first job.
So they might be telling you, oh, well, I'm going to need your bank routing number to pay you?
Yes, exactly. They get approached via a text message, something just random through email that they've been recruited. You saw their resume on LinkedIn, but we need to do a background check. And we need to get you to set up for direct deposit. So we need your social security number, your date of birth, your checking account, all of that information for a job that doesn't exist.
Wow. What are some questions someone could ask to reveal that that's a scam?
Well, first of all, does it make sense even what the person is presenting to you? Does it make sense that they only have interviewed through a text message? That is not how the world of work works. So then going out and doing your own research. So for example, if it's a well-known company, go to their website. Is that job actually out there available on the website, matching the description that you were given? That's a dead giveaway. And I always talk to employers about making sure that information is on their website so prospects know what to look for.
Yeah. All right, well, number 3 on this list is online purchases. This is big because so many people are shopping online after the pandemic. I mean, it is the way to go. I mean, and in fact, stores even seem to want you to go to their online store sometime. So how can that be easy to get scammed?
Oh, it's so easy. It can happen to anyone because scammers are great at creating convincing looking posts on social media for those rock bottom prices. Clearance sales, we've had some pretty high profile retailers go out of business over the last few years, and scammers love to take advantage of that, posting the going out of business sale with a fake social media ad, taking you to a fake but very convincing website. And consumers want to get that deal. I know I like to get a deal, but if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
I mean, I've even seen there's a jewelry maker, and there was this website, and it looked just like theirs at Christmas time, and you're getting them for 50% off, and it looked wonderful. But then was it really that site? Because if you go to their real true site, how can you tell the difference between a fake website when they have all the pictures of the same jewelry?
Inspect that URL carefully. So you should know, and I'll just use a big broad example, you should know what Best Buy, their website is. We know what it is, we see it. If you find an ad, let's say on social media, goes over to the website, look at that URL carefully, because the ad may look very convincing, but if you're not paying close attention, maybe there's a misspelling. Maybe it's Best Buy and some other domain. You really want to inspect that domain carefully and make sure you've got the HTTPS at the beginning to tell you the site's secure and it's going to protect your information as you're transmitting it.
Excellent. All right. Many people shop with QR codes, but I read recently QR codes are being used in a variety of scams. How are they using those?
Well, you don't know where that's going to go, right? You see it, maybe you want to pay to park in a parking lot, and there's a QR code. You don't know who put that QR code there or where it's going to go. So you have to be very careful when you're scanning and understanding where that information is coming from, and then taking a look and inspecting where is it taking you. Does that URL match? Does that make sense?
Okay. So what are some common home improvement scams? That's number 4. And, we've had our disasters here with the tornado. So a lot of people want to hire somebody who's handy, but that can lead to trouble.
It absolutely can. And unfortunately, scammers love to take advantage of a natural disaster, of some sort of calamity where people are a little shell-shocked and they want to act fast. They're just trying to recover as quickly as possible. But if someone shows up on your door saying you've got to act now, you've got to pay in cash, I can only do it right now, there's other people that need me, those are all big red flags. Even in a disaster, stop, do your research, verify who it is. If there's no sign on the door of the vehicle that they showed up in, they don't have a uniform, they don't have a business card, you don't need to do business with someone you can't verify who they are.
It's okay to ask if they have a business license.
Oh, absolutely.
To verify.
And depending on where you live, some municipalities require something called a solicitor's license to go door to door. So understanding what's required where you live, that way you can ask for that if someone shows up at your door.
Excellent. I did see on a national news story a woman who had, her mother fell victim to a romance scam and ended up taking her own life. And it was the con using a Facebook false identity, right? Is that common, and what is the typical romance scam?
Oh, and those absolutely break my heart. I do a lot of education in senior centers talking about scams that target older adults, and I unfortunately hear stories where they meet somebody on Facebook, where they meet somebody on a dating site like Silver Singles, for example, and it's a fake identity, and they're saying all the right things. Maybe they grew up in your hometown. Maybe they went to the same college you did. Really trying to build trust fast, and then all of a sudden there's a need, there's an emergency, there's something standing in the way of being together, and they want you to start sending money. That's the big red flag. I can't see you. To see you though, I need you to send me money. They're overseas, they're a government contractor, they're a diplomat. Some reason why you can't meet in person, but I need your money to help me get out of this situation.
Yeah. So I do want to include, sometimes you get telephone calls. You mentioned text messages. Sometimes you get phone calls, and older people are often hit with, oh, it's your grandchild who needs bail money. Tell us a little about that. We're going to skip the phishing scams. We're going to talk about that in a whole separate thing. But, is that something we need to worry about as well?
Emergency scams, yes. Child, grandchild, someone calls or sends a text that they need help, and they need help now. Don't tell mom. Don't call anybody, just wire this money. And scammers are even getting smarter. They're saying, well, the attorney's going to call you, or the person from the jail is going to call you, so you don't have a lot of time to try to figure out if that is your relative, if that's your loved one, and you're going to get somebody else on the phone who, of course, you're not going to recognize the voice of some attorney they say they've been assigned, or someone at that jail. So you have to stop and verify. Hang up the phone. It's okay to call. Call them. Call mom. It's okay. Ask where that person is.
All right, we're going to take a brief break. Such helpful information. We're taking a break, but when we come back, we'll take a deep dive into the scam world of phishing to find red flags to help us avoid them.
Ever received a text that seems fishy? You're not alone. Text-based phishing scams are on the rise. Even those who never thought they'd fall for a scam are being fooled. Scammers are getting smarter, using AI to craft convincing messages and prey on your trust. Fake emails, deceptive texts, and alarming voicemails are more than just annoying. Be the one that got away. The BBB can help you avoid getting reeled in by phishing scams. Visit bbb.org/scam studies to protect yourself.
Phishing scams are on the rise. It is one of the most common tactics scammers use to steal cash and bank information from their targets. Targets can be individuals or businesses, and the method varies from emails, calls, voicemail, and now growing in popularity, text messages. In 2023, complaints to the Better Business Bureau about phishing scams nearly doubled, but there are red flags if you look for them. And Pamela Hernandez with the BBB will explain what those are and all about phishing scams. First, Pamela, help us to define what a phishing attack is and a cyber threat actor.
So it's kind of like it sounds, phishing. Someone is going to throw a wide net, and it can be a very general wide net just to see what shakes out, or it can be very targeted. They call it spear phishing, where they're going at a specific organization, or they're going after someone high up in an organization to see who will bite.
So they're giving you some bait. So if they're successful and gain access to a computer network, what are the possible dangerous outcomes? What information can they get that can be risky for people?
In a phishing scam, so for example, business email compromise, that's one where someone at your organization gets what looks to be an invoice, or somebody sent a fax, for example. That's the one that shows up in my inbox quite often. And they click on it. They click on it, they open an attachment that can load malware, a virus, not just to that particular machine, but anything on the network. And once it's in there, it really has access to anything on your network.
And so it can actually create a hostage-like situation where they ask for ransom, but can also expose maybe personal data?
Absolutely. It can get to employee records. So information, social security number, date of birth on your employees, payroll records with bank accounts. And as you mentioned, it can hold data for ransom.
And then they might not act on it right away, but then you might have identity theft later on.
Absolutely. There are unfortunately a lot of places out there where people have information for sale. Data breaches, information gets lost all the time. It's not just phishing. So someone can try to take that, for example, a set of telephone numbers, which can seem pretty innocent for somebody to have your telephone number, but if they start sending that information out, you start getting those texts, there's a problem with your Amazon account, there's a problem with your Netflix account, your package from UPS, there's a problem with a delivery. Those can seem pretty innocent to the average person, but that opens the door to get in to get the password to your Amazon account, which then can get to your credit card information, which can get to into your bank account information. So it's really that one little piece. If they can even get that, it can open the door.
So how can you tell if this text message is a scam? Because I've gotten them too, and it looks pretty authentic. There's something wrong with your Amazon account, or even telling you you've been hacked.
Exactly. And it's scary. It's very scary. Now, something wrong with your Amazon account may not be quite as scary as someone telling you that you're hacked, but that's what phishing scammers are counting on. They're counting on that emotion, that you're going to act before you think. So you really have to stop, take a deep breath. Does this make sense? Where can I go check this information? So for example, you get the text message, there's a problem with your Amazon account. Delete the text message, go to your Amazon account, go to the app on your phone, go to the website on your laptop. You probably have it bookmarked. You know on the real site. If you're like me, you have it bookmarked.
You've ordered something.
I've ordered a time or two, and go and see, is there actually a problem? So that really is the easiest way, is just stop, take a breath, and go to the source that you know to be true. If someone sends you a text message that says there's a problem with your credit card, don't respond.
Don't click on their link.
Don't click on your link, because those types of things, they're going to be very generic, right? They're phishing. If they're doing these big general attacks, it's just going to be very generic. Credit card problem, contact bank at. Very generic. That's the big red flag. Go to your actual credit card, call the number on the back, log into the app that you have for your banking and see what's out there. Go to the source that you know to be true.
Excellent. So email scams have been around a while, but people are still falling for them. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA, reports that 84% of employees took the bait within the first 10 minutes of receiving a malicious email. They're pretty realistic looking emails. I mean, I know it even happened a couple years ago in the city of Joplin, here at MSSU. So again, what's the warning thing, or do businesses need to be on guard for that?
Businesses absolutely need to be on guard and train their employees. We don't do it as much at where I work currently, but I have worked in banking before, and the IT department would send out emails to test employees to see if they would click on them, things that look like you would get in a phishing situation. So really having that time to just educate, test, letting people know it's okay to ask questions. If you get a request that looks like it's from the CEO, if it looks like it's someone in payroll, that your company culture makes it okay to stop and ask a question instead of just blindly following orders.
Yeah. So there are safeguards that they can take. The training is really helpful.
Yes.
What else can a business do? I mean, are there other built-in safeguards? Or I mean, I know a lot of times here they'll say you can't download that that's a software without an administrator.
Absolutely. So putting those types of things in place, something as simple as making sure that operating systems and antivirus software are up to date. Because if those things are up to date and someone in your organization accidentally clicks and opens something that has a virus or malware, it's going to catch that. It's going to be your next line of defense. So especially for those small business folks who don't have dedicated IT staff, make sure that your antivirus software, operating system, everything is up to date, that you're constantly making sure you're getting those updates as they come.
So senior citizens, we often hear, are often targeted, and it might be because technology, it can elude some folks as to, oh, do I have software that protects me? But why else do they target senior citizens?
Well, that's a great question. I think, unfortunately, sometimes older adults are more likely to engage, whether that's from not understanding the technology or simply loneliness, to sometimes getting involved in a scam or not being able to recognize a scam can be an early sign of Alzheimer's and dementia. So there's a lot that plays into that. So it's important to have those conversations and to let the older adults in your life know it's okay to ask me. If you feel unsure about something, something doesn't feel right, let them know you're the secure person to ask.
And obviously, somebody's not going to ask you for money from the family if we haven't talked to you in person.
That's right. At least they shouldn't. Families are complicated. But if you get a request from somebody that says it's your grandchild, your child, it's okay to verify that. And families can be proactive, knowing that this is happening more and more. Set up a family password, a family safe word. That way, if there is a situation, you can ask for that and immediately be able to know that you're talking to the right person.
So there's some other issues that come up besides the romance scams, all these kind of scams. There are convincing messages that you'll get that there's something wrong with your computer. And that's a really tough one because there can be things that come up wrong with your computer. How do you know how to proceed there?
Well, and they can come in a variety of ways. And one of the scams, when I go out and look at what's coming into our BBB scam tracker, that I see on a regular basis are tech support scams. Typically, a consumer will get an email that says it's from, like Geek Squad, for example, that says, your program is up for renewal, your tech support program is up for renewal. You're going to owe us, we're going to charge you some large amount of money, $800, $900, if you don't cancel. Well, of course, everybody's like, I don't have this. What is this? I don't have this. I don't want this. So they call the number in the email and they get a very helpful person that says, of course, we can cancel this, but I need you to fill out a form. I need you to download this so we can take the information off your computer. when instead what they're doing is they're uploading malware so they can take control of your device.
So one more topic to talk about briefly is vacation and travel scams, because everybody wants to win that free vacation.
Right. And that's actually kind of another interesting form of phishing, where maybe somebody's looking for a great deal, or they're looking a way to get a free getaway, and they start doing a little Google search, right? Best deals, cheap flights to Florida. Scammers know how to plant those links and use search engine optimization just as well as any marketer to get that up and to get you to click on it. So they're just setting that trap, that hook in another way. And you really have to do your due diligence, not doing those broad searches, but going to travel agents, organizations that you trust and know.
And if it sounds too good to be true,
it probably
usually
is, yes.
Well, this is all great information. Pamela Hernandez, thank you. With the BBB, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, Pam returns to explain what to do after you've been scammed and details of a survivor kit.
Everyone's experiences actually build a great wealth of help for one another. So for us, I believe it's just to encourage you. If you're struggling, ask, speak, don't hold it in. Don't be embarrassed about being scammed, because you never know the next person who's going through, and what you're going through could essentially encourage another person who may be a victim as well.
I didn't look for help or support. I reported the scam everywhere I could, and I left it at that. I was really struggling with shame and self-blame. It wasn't until I began to advocate for other scam survivors that I began to allow myself to find support. Once I spoke up about my experiences, I realized I was not alone.
Don't let it overcome you where you can't maneuver and try to get yourself out of that predicament. Definitely look for the help, get the help. There are people out there that have the knowledge that you will need, hopefully, to get what you need to get out of the situation. So definitely continue to kind of reach out and get the help you need and not feel overcome or defeated.
I think talking about it helps a lot. I really do. That's really been the most important thing for me, is just, and having a community to talk about it with. I mean, I can't stress that enough, and when you talk about it, you get the answers you need. Like I said, other people get involved and, give you what you need. You get your next steps.
Don't give up. Honestly, really, don't give up. Keep fighting. Really, do not give up. It might seem like all hope has been lost. Please, keep going.
I noticed that I was rushing, and sometimes it's good to utilize patience when you're trying to effectively work a deal of any sort with any kind of contracts. If you have a nudge that says, I don't feel too good about this, you might want to pause until you feel okay.
Never think that you know everything, and always be open to knowledge and education on different scams out there. Different things are coming out regularly. People are figuring out different ways to scam and take advantage of people. So always be open to new knowledge and to learn some of the different schemes people are using to take advantage of people.
It's very important for me to remember that it's not my fault, I'm not stupid, and I'm not alone. I've been very lucky to find a platform that allows me to turn a negative experience into a positive one. One thing I think is very important to note is that there will always be people out there that blame you, whether that's deliberately or inadvertently using victim-blaming language or practices. It's really easy to fall back into a spiral of shame and self-blame. So if you're having any trouble remembering that those people are wrong and it's not your fault, I'll tell you, it's not your fault.
Welcome back to Newsmakers, where we've heard how to recognize scams and protect ourselves, but what if you take the bait? Pamela Hernandez with the BBB is back again and has survival kit information. How can people come back from a scam that might take all of their savings?
That is such a hard question, and that's why I'm so glad that this year we finally came up with and released a scam survival toolkit. Now, the sad part is, unfortunately, the money is probably not coming back. It's really important to be honest with that. But it's also important to minimize further damage. So for example, if someone gets involved in a scam, they are vulnerable to recovery scams. A scammer puts a charge on your credit card. They know you're going to call the bank to dispute that charge. So now they're going to try to call you to pretend that they're the bank and see if they can get even additional funds out of you. So you really want to try to minimize that damage by securing your finances and protecting your credit and taking some other steps to avoid getting involved in those recovery scams.
So if you've also been involved, are there any credit card protections, any assets that might be able to come back if you had, if a lot of the things were done via credit card?
Credit cards are one of the ways where you do typically have some recourse. If you have a fraudulent charge, you got involved in some sort of phishing issue and charges start showing up that you didn't make, the credit cards are very good in many cases about reversing those charges. So that's why BBB advises consumers, if you're going to do anything online, if you're going to shop online, try to use a credit card, because that is one of the avenues that fortunately consumers do have some luck getting money back.
Yeah. A lot of these scams involve, telling somebody to go to the bank, get money out. Are there any triggers in place with banks, or is there any way to advocate for that kind of thing so that people don't take out their life savings? Are there any questions that are asked at the bank?
Banks are getting smarter, particularly credit card companies. Again, they have some great monitoring software to look for things that are out of the ordinary for you. And some financial institutions are also understanding that it's helpful to have a secondary person. If the consumer comes in and starts asking for the money, a banker is going to ask questions, but ultimately it is up to the consumer to take that money out. But if there's a trusted person on your account, a second person, the financial institution might be able to call them and see if maybe they can make a connection, let that person know what's going on to try to help that person avoid the scam or getting further involved in the scam.
So what's all included in the survival kit? I mean, we've talked about red flags, but there are some, scammers are getting better. And, I'm sure people are embarrassed or ashamed if they've lost money, but how important is it not to blame yourself, and what can they find support-wise in this kit?
Extremely important to remember that these are criminals. And it happens to a lot of people, and to try to not to hold on to that blame or that shame for that. So if consumers go to bbb.org/scam survival kit, it's a personalized plan. So you're going to answer a few questions depending on what kind of information was lost. How are you feeling emotionally? And it's going to give you a list of resources, steps to take, including some self-care type options to help give you support, as well as a way to share your story, because that can be an important part of recovery, is sharing and talking about what happened.
Because it really doesn't happen to just one individual. I mean, millions of dollars, if not more, are lost every year.
Absolutely, and it can happen to anyone.
Wow. Well, Pamela, thank you so much for all this information, and we'd love to have you back with more advice for our viewers. Tell us how someone can get this information. bbb.org?
bbb.org. That is the best place to go. Check the menu for the Scam Survival Kit, Scam Tracker, to check on a reputable business, see what other consumers have to say.
All right. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
That wraps up this edition of Newsmakers. Thanks to our guest, and thank you for watching.